Peppa Pig and the library visit. It's bedtime for Peppa and George.
"Could we have a story, please?" asked Peppa.
"Okay," says Mummy Pig. "Here's the one about the red monkey."
"We always read that one,"
says Peppa.
"The red monkey takes a bath, brushes his teeth, and he goes to sleep. Let's choose another book instead."
Peppa goes to the bookshelf. There's a book about a blue tiger. A book about a green spider. A book about an orange penguin.
Wow!
And... "Ugh," says Peppa.
"What's this one?"
"The Wonderful World of Concrete," reads Mummy Pig. "I've been looking for that," says Daddy Pig. "It's a book I borrowed from the library."
"What's a library?"
asked Peppa. A library is a place where you can go to borrow books. When you're finished reading them, you take them back so others can borrow them, says Daddy Pig. He looks at the book. "I have had this for rather a long time," Daddy Pig says. "You can return it tomorrow," says Mummy Pig. "But right now it's bedtime."
"After Daddy reads the story,"
Peppa insists. Daddy Pig begins to read. The Wonderful World of Concrete. Concrete is made of sand, water, and other things. Chapter 1. Sand. Sounds of snoring fill the room. Peppa and George are fast asleep. So is Mummy Pig. The next morning, Peppa and her family head to the library. Peppa can't believe how many books are on the shelves.
"Look at them all,"
she shouts. "Shh, Peppa," says Daddy Pig. "You must be quiet in the library, because people come here to read and to be quiet."
"Next, please,"
comes another shout. It's Miss Rabbit, the librarian.
"Hello, Mummy Pig,"
she says.
"Are you returning these books?"
"Yes, Miss Rabbit." Mummy Pig gives her books to Miss Rabbit to scan, and the computer beeps as the books slide across the counter.
"Why is that computer beeping?"
asked Peppa. "It's checking to see that you haven't been naughty and kept the book for too long." "I may have kept this book for a bit too long," says Daddy Pig. "Don't worry," says Miss Rabbit. Then her computer makes a loud, long beep. "Daddy Pig," she shouts, "you've had this book out for 10 years.
"Naughty Daddy,"
says Peppa. Now that Daddy Pig's book is returned, he can borrow another one. Peppa and George want to borrow books too. Miss Rabbit shows Peppa and George to the children's section.
"Wow!"
"Ugh," says Peppa.
"There are books about princesses and animals and planets."
Danny Dog and Susie Sheep are at the library too. Danny Dog is borrowing a book about soccer. Susie Sheep is borrowing one about doctors. George has chosen his book. It's about dinosaurs.
"Dinosaur,"
says George. Daddy Pig has found an exciting new book. Further Adventures in the World of Concrete.
"But Daddy Pig,"
says Peppa,
"I want a fun bedtime book."
Mummy Pig pulls out a red monkey book.
Not that again, says Peppa. It's boring.
It's a different story, says Mummy Pig. Once upon a time, there was a red monkey.
I know,
says Peppa.
he had a bath, brushed his teeth, and went to sleep,
She says. No, says Mummy Pig. He had adventures. Oh, say the children. They all gather around to see the book. Peppa wants to hear the story. We can read it at home, says Mummy Pig.
But I already chose a book about a princess,
says Peppa. Then she sees another book about birds.
That book looks interesting too.
Miss Rabbit has good news for Peppa.
You can take up to 3 books home if you'd like.
Hooray!
Yippee, says Peppa. You just have to remember to bring them back on time,
says Miss Rabbit.
and that goes for you too, Daddy Pig.
Peppa laughs.
I'll make sure he remembers. I want to come back to the library all the time. I love the library.
Back at home, it's bedtime. Mummy Pig opens the new red monkey book. Once upon a time, there was a red monkey. He jumped in a space rocket and went to the moon.
The moon,
Says Peppa.
what an adventure.
Mummy Pig turns the page. He had a picnic with a dinosaur,
Dinosaur.
says George. Then the red monkey swam under the sea. Mummy Pig turns the last page. Finally, he climbed the highest mountain. That was a busy day.
I think Daddy Pig agrees,
Says Peppa. Everyone looks. Daddy Pig is fast asleep. The end, whispers Mummy Pig. Sounds of Daddy Pig's snores fill the room. Everyone laughs. What a fun day. The end. Peppa Loves. Peppa loves her best friend, Susie Sheep.
I wish my tail was soft and fluffy like yours,
Says Peppa.
I like your tail, Peppa.
Giggles Susie.
It's cute and curly.
Peppa loves dressing up.
Look at me,
Cries Peppa.
I'm a dancing fairy princess. Oh, your wings are really shimmery and shiny,
Says Nurse Susie. Peppa loves her golden boots. If you jump in muddy puddles, you must wear your boots, laughed Daddy Pig.
My golden boots sparkle and glitter.
Says Peppa proudly.
I'm going to make the biggest splash ever.
Peppa loves bath time.
Quack, quack.
Cries Peppa.
Little duck, your wings are so smooth and bright. Quack, quack.
Giggles George.
Splash.
Bonk, bonk.
Peppa loves her teddy. Time to go to sleep, Peppa and George, whispers Mummy Pig.
Good night, Teddy.
Sighs Peppa.
You're so cuddly and furry. Night, night.
The end. Peppa Pig Bicycle Race. It is a lovely sunny day. Peppa and George are going out for a ride. Peppa rings her bell. Ding ding.
Come on, George,
She says.
follow me.
Peppa is riding her bicycle. George is riding his tricycle.
Hurry up, George, calls Peppa. You're going so slowly,
says George. Peppa sees her friends Danny Dog, Susie Sheep and Rebecca Rabbit. They are riding their bicycles too. Danny points down the hill.
Let's have a race to the bottom,
he says. Danny, Susie and Rebecca ride very fast. Peppa rides quite fast. George does not ride very fast at all.
George is riding a baby bike,
Snorts Peppa.
So are you, says Danny. You've still got stabilizers.
Peppa looks down at her bike. It is the only one with stabilizers on it.
Let's ride up the hill again,
says Danny.
No,
says Peppa.
I think I'll stay here.
Peppa asks Daddy Pig to take her stabilizers off. Do you think you can ride without them? He says.
I can do it,
Peppa nods.
I can.
She gets on her bicycle and starts pedaling. Uh-oh, Peppa falls onto the grass. Riding without stabilizers is hard. George giggles.
It is not funny.
Peppa frowns. Daddy Pig helps Peppa to get back on her bicycle. Let's try again, he says. Ready, steady, go!
Don't let go of me, Daddy,
says Peppa. Don't worry, says Daddy Pig. I've got you. Peppa pedals faster and faster. You're doing really well, shouts Daddy Pig. Peppa looks round. Daddy Pig has let go. Ho ho, he cries. You're cycling on your own. Peppa can ride on her own without stabilizers.
Wow.
She goes to find her friends.
Look at me,
shouts Peppa.
I can ride my bike properly.
Danny, Susie and Rebecca all cheer. Hooray!
Come on,
says Peppa.
Let's race down the hill again.
Danny, Susie and Rebecca ring their bells. Peppa loves riding her bicycle. Everyone loves riding bicycles. The end. Peppa Pig, lots of jobs. Madame Gazelle has a job. She must teach the tots. Mr. Fox has a job.
Wow.
He must run his shop. Dr. Brown Bear has a job.
Hooray!
He must treat Peppa's spots. Mr. Zebra has a job. He must drop off a box. Grandad Dog has a job. He must run the car shop. Mrs. Cow has a job.
Wow.
She must climb to the top. Mr. Bull has a job.
Hooray!
He must tell cars to stop. Peppa has a job. She jumps in puddles a lot. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's countdown to bedtime. Granny and Grandpa Pig were visiting Peppa and George's house.
Hooray!
They'd had lots of fun together, but it was getting late. "Come on, little ones," said Daddy Pig. "Let's get you ready for bed."
Can we play countdown to bedtime game with Granny and Grandpa?
asked Peppa.
Please.
"That's a lovely idea, Peppa," said Mummy Pig. "Why don't you tell Granny and Grandpa Pig how to play it?"
First you count 10 things, then 9 things, then 8 things, all the way down to 1 thing, before you go to bed,
explained Peppa.
That sounds like a game we used to play with your mummy when she was your age,
said Granny Pig.
Who's going to start counting down? Said Grandpa Pig. Me, said Peppa excitedly. I know. First let's jump in 10 muddy puddles.
Peppa and George raced outside, closely followed by Grandpa Pig. They found 10 very muddy puddles, perfect for jumping in. Peppa, George and Grandpa Pig jumped in 10 very muddy puddles. Everyone was laughing and covered in mud.
That's 10 muddy puddles jumped in, said Peppa. What's next? It's starting to get dark, whispered Grandpa Pig. Before we go inside, shall we use my torch to see if we can spot 9 nighttime creatures?
Wow!
Oh, yes,
Peppa whispered back. Peppa, George and Grandpa Pig tiptoed around the garden, looking for nighttime creatures. Suddenly, George spotted lots of little hedgehogs scattering across the grass.
Eggy hog,
he cried, pointing. Peppa, George and Grandpa Pig counted 9 cute hedgehogs.
Great nighttime detective work,
said Grandpa Pig.
That's 9 nighttime creatures spotted, said Peppa. What's next?
George shone the torch up in the sky.
Tweet, tweet,
he said.
Look, George has found 8 little birds flying to their nest,
said Peppa.
Night, night, little birds.
Well done, George, said Grandpa Pig. Peppa and George waved goodnight to 8 little birds flying to their nest.
That's 8 little birds waved to,
said Peppa.
What's next?
I think it's time you flew home too, said Mummy Pig, coming outside. Peppa, George and Grandpa Pig pretended to be birds flying back home. In the living room, Granny Pig said, I've seen toy monkeys that need tidied away. Peppa and George picked up 7 toy monkeys and put them in the basket.
Good night, monkeys,
said Peppa.
That's 7 toy monkeys tidied away, said Peppa. What's next?
Peppa, George, called Daddy Pig. Everyone rushed to the kitchen to find Daddy Pig with 6 glasses of warm milk. Here are 6 bedtime drinks, said Daddy Pig.
Yummy, thank you, Daddy,
said Peppa, lifting her head up to show everyone her milk moustache. You're welcome, Peppa, said Daddy Pig.
That's 6 glasses of a yummy bedtime drink drunk,
said Peppa.
What's next? Shall we get you all cleaned up?
Granny Pig asked Peppa and George.
Bath time,
cheered Peppa.
Hooray!
In the bathroom,
Granny Pig spotted 5 rubber ducks in need of a wash. Peppa and George had lots of fun bathing with 5 rubber ducks. And splashing Granny and Grandpa Pig too. "It's time for the ducks to go to bed now," said Granny Pig. "Night-night, 5 little duckies," said Peppa. "That's 5 rubber ducks, nice and clean," said Peppa. "What's next?" Mummy and Daddy Pig came to help Peppa and George get into their pyjamas and brush their teeth. "Oh no!" gasped Peppa. "What's wrong?" asked Daddy Pig. "We need something for number 4, said Peppa. "But George and I have only 2 toothbrushes." "Don't worry," said Mummy Pig. "Daddy and I will brush our teeth too. Then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, finished Peppa. "Brush, brush, brush, brush." After they were finished, Peppa said, "That's 4 brushy toothbrushes brushed with. What's next?" Grandpa Pig went to close the curtains in Peppa and George's bedroom. When they looked out of the window, Peppa and George counted 3 stars shining in the night sky. "Look, George," cried Peppa. 3 twinkling stars. Let's pretend we're in a rocket exploring outer space." "That's 3 twinkling stars counted," said Peppa. "What's next?" Grandpa Pig helped George into bed. "Peppa, you tuck in Teddy. George, you tuck in Mr. Dinosaur. Then that's 2 favourite toys ready to sleep." "That's 2 favourite toys all tucked in," said Peppa. "What's next?" "Ah," said Granny Pig, "we have a very special number 1 for you." "We do?" said Grandpa Pig. Then he thought for a moment. "Oh, yes, of course," he said. "We have 1 very special bedtime story for you both." "Hooray!" cheered Peppa and George. They loved bedtime stories. Peppa and George were all cuddled up and cosy in bed when Granny Pig started their 1 very special bedtime story.
Wow.
"Once upon a time," began Granny Pig very quietly and very slowly, "there were 2 little piggies who jumped in 10 muddy puddles, spotted 9 nighttime creatures, waved to 8 little birds, tidied 7 toy monkeys, shared 6 bedtime drinks, bathed with 5 rubber ducks, found 4 brushy toothbrushes, counted 3 twinkling stars, tucked in 2 favourite toys." As Peppa and George closed their eyes, Granny Pig whispered, "And listened to 1 very special bedtime story. Night-night, little ones." Peppa and George were so tired from playing the countdown to bedtime game, they had fallen asleep. Mummy and Daddy Pig came in to say goodnight. "Ah," said Mummy Pig, seeing Peppa and George fast asleep, "you can always count on the countdown to bedtime game." "You can indeed," said Granny Pig, looking over at Grandpa Pig, who had fallen asleep too. Mummy Pig, Daddy Pig, and Granny Pig all laughed. Peppa and George love counting down to bedtime. Everyone loves counting down to bedtime. The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.